Hello there. I'm Lyndon Thorpe. Welcome to Peace and Wealth. This is our weekend podcast, and we aim to give you lots of takeaways and lots of insights into peace. And Ebi-Sheila's here. She's just powdering her nose and will be with us in a second, I think. Here she is with her nose thoroughly powdered. Good morning, good evening, good day.
I don't know if my nose is thoroughly powdered. It's a bit late here.
I thought so. So I'm in Japan, you're in UK. What time is it with you, Ebi-Sheila?
It's 11:30.
Are you sleepy?
No, I just woke up. I had
Oh,
a nap.
really? Ebi's a really great napper. I can't nap at all.
Yeah.
I just have to sleep when I have to go to bed. That's it. That is it. But anyway, for all our listeners, for LinkedIn and YouTube, I'm in Japan. And we have occasional problems with internet here because of seismic activity. And we had a little bit of a quake this morning. So, sometimes it affects the signal. So forgive me if I start to freeze up. But anyway, I'll keep going. Okay, well, let's kick off with peace then. We call this session Peace and Wealth. And so I'm going to ask Ebi to tell us how peaceful she feels right now and what makes her feel peaceful.
Peaceful, inner. It's an inner feeling. And I guess because I've just had a nap and I was out with a friend, I went to visit a friend today who's not very well. She's got lupus.
Oh.
And I try to visit her every week. And we had a game of Scrabble and a card game called Kosari, which is a strategic game. So
Ooh.
the inner peace of just being calm and just being in the present, no TV, no watching of news. Yeah, so I feel quite calm and peaceful.
Good.
Getting ready for bed. Yeah, so
Well,
it's
yes.
an inner thing, isn't it? It's remembering to be present as opposed to having the anxiety of thinking about what's going on around externally or what we should have done, mistakes you've made, and stewing on those mistakes, and just accepting and being.
Wonderful. Yes, absolutely. I think for everybody listening, the best peace, inner peace you'll ever find is when you're breathing here and now. It's to do with the breath. The breath resets the whole body when we breathe consciously. Conscious breathing is beneficial on so many levels, and especially as we get older, because the tissue of the lungs starts to degenerate a little bit, and we do get breathing problems as we get older. But if you breathe consciously every day, at some point, you stop everything and just breathe, then your lungs will remain healthy. And in fact, I went to have a health check last week, and they checked my lungs to see how healthy they were. And the result was, the doctor said, you're about 35 in age, in lung age. So he said, what's your secret? And so I told him that I have always meditated and consciously breathed. And he was amazed because I'm twice that age, And so, yeah, if we can just remember, that's the problem, isn't it? Remember to stop and just spend 5 minutes breathing, and if possible, using the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is right up underneath your rib cage. And this is the best way to breathe. It is your principal breathing muscle, but most people don't use it. They either breathe here or in the belly. And belly breathing is not good for you. It upsets the gut chemistry. But diaphragmatic breathing right up under your rib cage is the best. So yeah, just get out there, lower your visual sight, and just focus on the in and the out. And I think one thing that always brings me peace is remembering when I breathe that if it wasn't for the earth providing breathable air, then I'd either be in a spacesuit all the time or I'd be dead. It's just an amazing relationship we have with the earth, and each of us has a unique relationship because we all breathe differently. And so, just remember you are very much alive because of the earth. And that always brings me back to my body, my relationship with the earth. So, Ebi, I want to ask you today about worth, because worth is your kind of trademark, really, isn't it, for all your business stuff? So how does peace connect to worth for you?
So worth, I used to use the word more self-love, but people get really confused with self-love. They mistake self-love for self-care. So self-care is part of self-love, but self-love is more. And self-love is more of the inner, so the self-worth. So so if we change the word self-worth, so if you've got worth for yourself, it's more internal. So it's not about your external material things that you have. And in terms of what we're speaking about, which is the wealth, isn't it? Peace and wealth. Peace and wealth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we talk about so many things. So peace and wealth. So when we have self-worth, we have wealth. So regardless of our material possessions, you begin to realize that it's nice to have those because it's quite convenient, but it's not the be all and end all, as they say. So when you have self-worth, you have confidence. You also, like with the breathing, that's so important because you have to take care of yourself, so your health comes into it, your psychology, so your mental health comes into the whole thing. So you've got that self-worth, you take care of your mental health, you take care of your physical health. So for me, self-worth is very important. Self-worth equals self-love. And once you've got self-worth, not only are you able to take care of yourself, but you're also able to love others. Like they say in the plane, put the mask on yourself first. And once you've got the love for yourself first, you can't help but be love. You can't. So, and you learn to appreciate, like you said, the earth. Learn to be grateful for the earth. So you see the gratitude, you see the beauty. And then I think there's a hymn we used to sing as children. I can't remember what it is, but it's all about beauty being all around. Because I think, especially when we live in the West, we fail to see the beauty. Like, for instance, I live in a very beautiful country, England. Really, so much natural beauty. And a lot of people who live here can't wait to get out. Because unfortunately, we do have sunshine, but not as much as some other countries. But when you go to those countries, I kind of think, but there's more beauty here because in terms of it's so green, and we feel we're always looking on the outside. Oh, we need to go out for a week here. We need to travel out to the next country because they have this, and we can do this, and we can do that. But the things you can do here might be different. It might not be a beach holiday, but we also remember we are an island, so there are beaches everywhere. We've got beaches in the south, we've got beaches in the north. Because I never knew, I never appreciated like Scotland, for instance. But when I went to Scotland, we've got beaches there because I thought, yeah, we are an island, so there will be beaches all around.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just being able to appreciate nature, appreciate what we have, as opposed to trying to look for what we don't have. So the grass is always greener on the other side. But the reality is that it's not, oh, it's not green on the other side.
Yeah.
And there are things that we probably don't really like and would like to change, but you find the silver lining and have that inner peace. And I find as you have more self-worth, you're able to appreciate and be more present.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
we're not looking for other things, you know, always wanting more. What else they call it, a shiny object. Looking for the next
Yes.
shiny object. Once you got the self-worth, you're not always looking for the next shiny object. You're learning to be present and enjoy the now and enjoy the surroundings. And if you happen to travel, it's fine, but you don't. Some people get really depressed because they haven't traveled for a year out of the country. I mean, you can travel within the country, but if they can't travel out of the country, they get depressed. There's really no need for that. Just have the self-worth, and you find satisfaction. Yeah.
I think one of the things that's coming to my mind now is the media, because the media really is very largely responsible, I think, for making us being discontent.
It's still a choice.
There's always something that we should have, or we just have to get, some material object or some trip or some country that is so fabulous. All of this is portrayed very powerfully on the internet, which is often selling, and TV, which often is selling, when all the time, as you say so beautifully, we have everything we need right now and right here. It's all a question of going inside, not always outside. And that's what a lot of my work is about, taking people inside, getting them to see the beauty of their inside, and getting them to feel contentment simply with breath, with the spine lengthening, and with whole body awareness. Those are the three pillars of my work, really. And it's amazing how surprised people are that they feel this sense of contentment and stillness, and they can tolerate it, So for me, I think peace is very much about appreciating who we are, and the fact that we are alive on this earth is such an incredible realization. Instead of always thinking, oh, I'm sure that will be better, or I'm sure the next few years will be better than the past few years. Well, it's a delusion. There's no such thing, There's no past, there's no future. There is only now. There's only this moment. And if we can get...
You talk a lot about the Aborigines that you've met years ago. And I think a lot of them have so little, but they're appreciative of who they are, what their bodies are like. And we're always trying to change our bodies, We don't accept what we are. We try to change them. We get obsessed with what our bodies are. Some of us even go to the extent of having medical intervention. Some people need to, and they haven't got a choice. But some people have a choice, and they choose to change it because there's not that self-worth. Whereas with the Aborigines, no matter how they look, or as long as they go within themselves and they just try and eat well, so they're healthy enough and they're able to hunt or do what they need to do to be able to exist and have the life that they want to have. And we have so much, but the contentment, and it's like, as you said, there's a temptation from the media, but then that's part of our growth, because as we grow and we have the self-worth, we're able to withstand and notice that that's just selling. And we do have a choice whether we're going to listen to it, or we're going to value ourselves and respect ourselves enough to say, I'm grateful for how I am. I am lucky that I'm ABC. Because there are lots of people that don't have limbs, have missing parts of their bodies, but most people don't have that problem. A few people do, and they you find that they're even more grateful than people that have everything complete. They're finding to change things that they
Yeah.
are. If you have self-worth, you find that there's no need to change. There's no need to change the shape of your ears. There's no need to change the shape of your nose. There's no need to change anything.
Yeah.
There's no. It's the perception that we have, again, like you said,
Mm.
because of media and stuff. But then we have the responsibility to own stuff and be able to choose and discern what's right and what's wrong. We don't have to follow everything that we hear or we see. And if you have that
No.
self-worth and that inner peace, And so, like you said, the things you take your clients through, so the breathing, the stillness, it was brilliant, the silence. So the breathing, the stillness, the silence, the spine, the spine work and the whole body awareness is just so important. It helps you to love you and therefore love life.
Yes, absolutely. For those of you out there who don't know, yes, I spent quite a long time living with Australian Aboriginals. That's what Ebi's referring to. And really, my life changed totally after that. This is 30 years ago now. And yeah, I was involved in a project to help to move a group of Aboriginals, very elderly, rather sick Aboriginals, because they'd been eating white fella food, which had really made them diabetic. All sorts of health problems came out of that, because they were living, forced to live as white people live, and children. So the elders selected a group of children to go back to traditional life. Now, in Aboriginal terms, that means going right away from everything into the very centre of Australia, which is called Arnhem Land, and no white people are allowed there. I'd love to go, but they're not allowed by law. And the Aborigines have the right to destroy people who go into their territory. This is the end of a very long battle, 2 centuries of battling to get rights for Aboriginals. So anyway, we were walking with them to take them back into the hottest place on the earth, actually. And it was very hard for us indeed. But what we did was we built shade shelters for them. We rushed ahead and we had all the equipment to build shade shelters so that they could rest during the day in the shade, and then walk at night. So we walked at night mostly. Well, during that time, my life turned around because very simply, these people have devoted themselves to the earth, and that is their peace. They are the custodians, the true custodians of the earth. And even when they're born, they're assigned a totem. And their totem could be an animal, a weather phenomenon, a plant, anything that the elders recognize in the baby. And then their lives are pledged to that species. And it's their absolute joy and intent to make sure that species thrives and to make sure nothing disturbs that balance for the species. So, yeah, they don't work, they don't need money, they have the wisdom of the earth. It's a glorious life, really. And so for me, that peace in guarding the earth, in really protecting and ensuring the thriving of the organism of the earth. They think of the earth as their father, and they think of nature as their mother. So spending their whole lives devoted to that means that they are just totally peaceful, totally at peace. And I think I told you once, one of the most moving sights I've ever seen in my life was when we said goodbye to this group. And so what they did was they put down all the remnants of civilization, which white people had donated to them. They put them all down, they took off all their clothes, and they walked away carrying their natural tools made from the earth. Nothing artificial at all. And they just walked off into the distance and disappeared into Arnhem Land. We'd never see them again. To me, that was the most extraordinary moment of my life, really, because they were really just walking away from civilization, walking away from everything that we sort of respect, and revere. We're so proud of our progress and our civilized way of living, so-called civilized. So this idea of, yes, of course, focusing on the self, focusing on the body, but eventually we can use that focus for living in a non-violent way. So Aboriginals are non-violent. They rarely fight. They are extremely harmonized together. They don't speak much. Every word they say is crucial and sincere. And so they're so balanced, so well balanced. So for me, peace is all tied up with the earth, and with my incredible good fortune to be born human. I think the other day we talked about the process of birth, and it's a real struggle to become a human. Aboriginals really respect this. So that incredible pushing to get out of the womb, is a real struggle. And so we struggle to become human right at the beginning, and we enter with nothing,
I didn't that really hit home when we were talking about it the other day. Because if you think about that tiny baby coming through, it's a fight for life.
Yeah.
They want to come out. They want to be alive. And the fight it's a difficult journey for them. And I guess this is what the Aborigines see. And I've noticed that when I'm more connected to the earth, I feel the more self, the more of self, occasionally going barefoot, because we've got shoes that don't connect us to the earth because it's all rubber sole. And where I live is more of a jungle city, so there's a lot of tar around, not a lot of grass. And when you go to the earth and you're grounded, it just makes a difference in terms of your peace. And I think people need to make that effort if they live in a city, to go to a park, take their shoes off, and just connect to the earth, because it's so important. Like you said, it's feet rooted in the earth, spread arms open, and then body just breathing the deep breaths, taking the air. I remember, because I think we forget when in the civilized, well, air quotes, civilized world, we just forget. We forget what's natural, and we're all into this synthetic. It's more synthetic living, really. It's synthetic living. We have synthetic lighting. We've got which is convenient and it's good, not knocking it, but we need to remember sometimes going back to nature, you know, maybe taking off the computers, the phones, being out under the stars if it's not raining. I mean, today I was coming back. We don't normally see stars in London, and it was like amazing just to look up in the sky because we had clear blue skies today, which is rare. And I saw stars, you know, more than 5 stars. Sometimes you might see 1 or 2, but I saw loads, and that was really heartwarming. And I'm not sure, a lot of people don't look up into the sky. I'm very attracted to the earth, so when I come out, the first thing I do is look up into the sky. So it's my first reaction. I've always done that even as a child. So I notice what's going on up in the sky, and when there's no moon or there's no stars, I noticed, and I noticed so many stars today, and that was really, because that's very rare to see here.
Wonderful. Yeah, stars are so inspiring, I think.
Yeah, it just brings you peace when you try and remember, because we forget because of the busy lives, and we forget, and that just disconnects you. But when you try to remember, we're talking about inner peace, inner wealth, and wealth is not about money. Maybe you will have money and maybe you won't, but it's not about that. But you can still have wealth, because if you've got inner peace, that's inner wealth. It is wealth.
Absolutely.
And everything is abundant in the earth for us. I have a friend and she lives in close to a forest, and she said I can do without going to Tesco's, which is a shop here, for like a month or 2, because I can just walk outside, go into the woods, and she's very good at foraging, so she knows what she can pick and what she can eat. She studies all that, and so she's really good. And she said I can survive without going to the shops for a month, 2 months. And I thought, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes. Well, I've spent periods of my life being self-sufficient too. Another glorious time in my life was living up in the High Pyrenees between France and Spain. And there I had this huge, huge garden, and I grew everything we needed. Everything we needed was there.
And don't you feel different when you're growing your own and when you're eating your own? Doesn't it give you a special kind of feeling?
Yes.
Does it taste better?
Yes. This is pure wealth to me, you know, being able to walk out of the door with a basket and go and pick your dinner, you know, and then cook it immediately. So in the Pyrenees, it was fabulous because we cooked outside for 10 months of the year. The weather is fantastic. Sunshine for 360 days a year. In the Pyrenees.
I'm jealous.
Fabulous weather. And so you go and pick what you wanted from the garden and cook it immediately. So it's absolutely fresh, couldn't be fresher. And that was a huge sense of inner satisfaction, inner peace, and the taste was great. Yeah. So yes, we really do recommend that no matter how busy you are today, take just 2 minutes, go outside, stop everything, switch everything off, look up into the sky and breathe for 2 minutes. And that will change everything. You'll come back to what you're doing with a freshness, with a new intent, with light. You know, you'll bring light back.
Recalibrate.
Yeah.
Calibration to come back into the busy world.
Yeah, that's right. So you can recalibrate yourself simply with 2 minutes in the fresh air, breathing, you know. And if we can remember to do that often enough, then we'll always keep balanced and we'll always keep a sense of inner wealth, because we are so wealthy to be born human. It's such a fabulous. The other thing about being, the other really important thing for me about being a human being is my spiritual life. And that has always been my main current since I was a child. So that is also something to contemplate. You know, your spirit is your engine. It drives everything. The spirit, nothing religious, not talking about religion, talking about that human energy, essence. And the spirit is the way we go forward in life. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't go forward, you know? So your human spirit is such a blessing, a gift. Yeah. Right. That's gone so quickly, Ebi. We'll have to make this a longer session, I think, sometime. Too much to talk about. Thanks so much for joining us today. And if you have any questions, we've got no comments, I don't think, today. No. If you do have any questions or comments, please leave them below this window. You can contact Ebi, you can contact me, and we'll be here again in 2 weeks' time. Next week, we've got Marlene, so we're alternating. And then at some point, all three of us will get together, which will be great, I think. So, Ebi, thanks so much. Have a glorious evening or a glorious night, because you're going to go to bed now, yes?
Yeah,
and
bedtime for me.
Yeah, and it's daytime for me. It's 9 o'clock in the morning for me, so I'm going to have a great day. Okay, so I'll see you very soon. Lots of love and blessings to everybody out there on LinkedIn and on YouTube. We'll see you very soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye. Just let me put this back here. Bye.